Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Some big crypto news today. U.S. court overturns Tornado Cash sanctions and pivotal case for crypto. So first of all, let's talk about what is Tornado Cash. Essentially, what was it? It was a service that was designed to give people a private solution. Many of you understand that on blockchain, especially Ethereum, you can use something like Etherscan, for example, and you can track transactions. So if somebody knows what your wallet address is, they can see where you've spent money, what you've done, what contracts you've transacted with, what wallets you've transacted with. They can follow an entire chain of transactions. Obviously, this is a problem in a world of privacy. You know, if you use cash, people don't know what you buy. It's your business. It's your privacy. What Tornado Cash allowed people to do was to essentially send funds to an Ethereum address, and then in exchange, what you got back was you got like a numeric code. When you sent funds to that Ethereum address, what it essentially did was use smart contracts to send those funds around and split them up. And essentially, you sent your funds to a box of smart contracts. And if you imagine everybody putting money in a box and then shaking up the box, everybody's money who's put money in the smart contracts gets shaken up, gets mixed around. And then when you want the funds back, you put in your numeric code and you get part or all of your funds back. And the idea was it broke up the sort of chain of custody or the Etherscan trail, and it gave you a sense of privacy. I actually never used Tornado Cash myself. I did end up going to Tornado Cash. I did research it. I considered using it. I wanted to know how to use it, but the U.S. ended up adding Tornado Cash to the SDN list. Now this is nuts. The SDN list was essentially a list that stands for Specially Designated Nationals. This is typically people or companies run by people. So the idea is, as an American, you cannot do business with someone who's on the SDN list. Typically, this would be something like the Iranians or some sort of terrorist group, that probably the Russians, for example, right now. You can't do business as an American with a Russian business or with a Russian directly if they're on the SDN list. So that's what this list is for. For the first time in history, a computer code that nobody owned and nobody controlled because it's decentralized. So if you're new to crypto, there's a lot of computer codes that are called smart contracts that exist on the blockchain. Once they're coded, they're there. It's the reason Bitcoin can't be destroyed almost. It's the reason, Bitcoin can't be destroyed. It's a similar reason for why Bitcoin can't be destroyed. It's why Ethereum can't be destroyed. It's why Uniswap, they can shut down the website of Uniswap, but theoretically you could always interact with the smart contract. The website is just a pretty user interface for using the smart contract. But Tornado Cash got put on the SDN list, which if you think about it, that is weird, that is unprecedented, and arguably, it could clearly be argued that that should be against American privacy. What's even crazier about this is the developer of Tornado Cash, young guy, probably college age at the time, developed it in 2019. He actually got put into jail. Now, this is wild. This is America's long arm of the law reaching around the world and basically compelling the Netherlands to put this guy in jail. He's originally a Russian citizen, but he was living in the Netherlands. And they claim that he was working on Tornado Cash from 2019 to August of 2022. Now, we're going to talk about what the court said today. I'll get to this in a moment because a lot of people are misunderstanding what happened here. And so I want to explain what happened in this video. But first, I want to make certain that you understand the backstory of what's going on with Tornado Cash. So first of all, this guy goes to jail, the developer of Tornado Cash. And it's kind of crazy. If you read through this, I read through it. They're saying, that this guy was responsible for laundering money. Let's see, where is it at? Tornado Cash was created by the defendant and two other people. The defendant further developed the tool from 2019 to August of 2022. That's not exactly true. I don't believe he was doing ongoing development that entire time. I know he developed it, but I don't think he was doing ongoing development. It just existed. It still does exist. Like they'll never be able to shut Tornado Cash down. Non-Americans can use it essentially all they want. Tornado Cash works with so many pools. They're kind of a collection bin that accept deposits from cryptocurrency from one wallet address and make withdrawals possible from another. By doing this, Tornado Cash terminates the transaction trail on the so-called blockchain and hides the origin of the cryptocurrency, the original owner of the destination of the cryptocurrency. Here's what's crazy. Notice the word usage. It hides the transaction, or it anonymizes it. It makes it more private. How about that? Or it saves the user's privacy for their own transaction. So if I use cash because I don't want everybody to know what I'm purchasing, I mean, that makes total sense. Tornado Cash makes a complete anonymous deposit and withdrawal possible from Tornado Cash, thereby concealing or disguising who has the actual control over the currency. In other words, who owns a cryptocurrency. Okay, great. That's really good. I mean, a buddy of mine who has been investing heavily in cryptocurrency, he was like, should I let people know what my wallet address is? And I recommended he not do this. He owns a significant amount of cryptocurrency. And the very first thing he says to me, rather naively, well, what would it matter if somebody knew? And I said, it doesn't matter. You're not breaking the law. You're not doing anything wrong. But do you want to be a target that you have $1 million or more in cryptocurrency? And if this continues to do a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10x from here, do you want to be a target? Do you want your safety to be at risk because people know that you control that wallet and that wallet has X amount of dollars in it, and they could compel you to give them the private keys or to send them a transaction? I said, that's a security risk at some level at some point. And he was like, holy cow, I never thought about that. That's crazy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once someone knows your wallet, you have a hard time. It's very difficult to have privacy. That's a significant reason why someone would want privacy. A very good legal reason, by the way. Tornado Cash made it so simple. Anyway, then they go through here. Research shows that $1.2 billion were laundered this way, yada, yada. They say that he's responsible, but the defendant declared that it was never his intention to break the law or facilitate criminal activities. Obviously, by the way, I think this is so obvious to me. I mean, at the time when Tornado Cash was created, it's important to understand, it wasn't like crypto was what it is right now. I mean, this guy was clearly part of sort of the cypherpunk movement that believed in decentralized finance, which is what created Bitcoin in the first place. Anyway, with Tornado Cash, he wanted to offer a legitimate solution for a growing need for privacy in the crypto community. The great thing about Tornado Cash is I don't have to sell my Tornado Cash and buy something like Monero, for example. If you buy Monero, you got to worry about the price of Monero going up and down. Yes, it's private, but I got to worry about the price of Monero going up and down. And never mind, it's difficult to buy Monero now because everybody was worried about government sanctions. So they stopped dealing with all the exchanges, for the most part, stopped dealing with privacy coins. Tornado Cash allowed you to hold Ethereum or whatever ERC20 token, because I believe you could use more than just Ethereum, but I might be wrong on that. But you could just hold Ethereum if you wanted, if you believed in Ethereum. And you didn't have to worry about the price of you still had privacy. You didn't have to worry about losing your Ethereum because of, some token price crashed. According to him, it was set up for user. According to him, it is up to the user not to abuse Tornado Cash. Exactly. Just like it's up to the user not to abuse cash and buy drugs. It's up to the user not to abuse a knife and kill his neighbor. No one puts the knife manufacturer in jail. And besides, it was impossible for him to prevent the abuse because of the technical specifications of Tornado Cash. How shocking. It's impossible to prevent your neighbor from using a knife to murder their spouse because, the knife is sharp by its technical specifications. The knife can do damage. The court disagrees. Disagrees with what? I mean, this is so ridiculous. It was Tornado Cash that executed the concealing and disguising the activities previously described. Talk about not understanding or not caring to understand how the technology works. It was the knife that did the cutting. Do you understand? Like, this is crazy. When executing these activities with cryptocurrency derived from crime, Tornado Cash carries out money laundering activities. That's correct. The smart contract could do that. Correct. A knife could be used for harm. Therefore, the court judged that Tornado Cash is not just an instrument for users. Then what is it? I mean, it wasn't this guy here. I can't say his name. We'll say B. It wasn't B. It wasn't B's responsibility if he developed a knife that someone hurt themselves or someone else. Anyway, the defendant was also aware of the fact that the tool was being used for money laundering activities. It is common knowledge that a crypto mixer or similar services like Tornado Cash are used for money laundering of cryptocurrency, which, by the way, Tornado Cash was one of the very first ones to ever do it. Anyway, the defendant was active in several chat groups. In those chat groups, that they discussed the hacks in which Ether had been stolen. They also discussed cryptocurrency with a criminal origin being deposited into Tornado Cash. This did not refrain the defendant from developing Tornado Cash and offering it to the public without restrictions. That is crazy. For example, by incorporating measures. So let me fast forward here a little bit. He ultimately goes to jail because they say it was his responsibility for not incorporating measures that did not allow people to use it poorly. In other words, let me give you two scenarios. You create a knife, but it is your fault that you didn't make the knife, that you made the knife sharp, and you should have made it not sharp. If you would have made it not sharp in a blunted tool, then it would have been a rod, and therefore it wouldn't have been a knife in the first place. I mean, that's so weird. It doesn't even make sense. Here's the other thing. They're saying that you should have incorporated some sort of measure. What measure? They didn't offer any suggestions, by the way. The only measure that he could have incorporated to prevent people from using money laundering would have simply been to add KYC AML, which would have taken away the whole purpose in having a privacy application in the first place, or privacy smart contract. Anyway, and by the way, if you're watching this and you're like, well, who cares? Well, who cares about privacy if you're not doing anything wrong? Listen, I'm not doing anything wrong, and every time I go to the bathroom to piss, I want privacy. Privacy and freedom go hand in hand. The way you get rid of someone's freedom in a country is you start to erode their privacy. On the contrary, until his arrest, he kept developing Tornado Cash. Every next step enhanced the concealing effect and anonymity of the users. The defendant accepted the risk of the simple, unlimited, foreseeable, and evident use by criminals. Okay. This is absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, long story short, the guy goes to jail. Okay. So now what's happening? A current court said, hey, you cannot put Tornado Cash on the SDN list. Nobody owns it. The court has basically said they've overturned this, and they haven't said they've overturned the current ruling, and I think it goes back to a lower court. It's basically still having to work its way through the court system. It's not like Tornado Cash is all of a sudden okay for Americans to use. You probably shouldn't use it, period, end of story, at all. And I wouldn't recommend anyone using it right now because it's just not worth the governmental risk no matter what country you're in. Keep in mind, even if you're not an American citizen, the Americans can find a way to get you put in jail if you're a big enough target, or if they want to make an example out of you. That's exactly what happened under the last administration. And there's no guarantee that it won't happen in the current administration. I don't care if Trump's crypto friendly. It doesn't mean, listen, Trump is currently crypto friendly when it benefits the U.S. and when it benefits large corporations that benefit the U.S. The average investor doesn't necessarily benefit the U.S. What's good for you may not always be great for the country in the short term anyway. So with that being said, I wouldn't necessarily use it. But for now, it just means that, hey, this is good news for privacy, good news for freedom, and it was the responsible decision. I mean, come on. Are we going to sit here and say that, oh, this guy owned a smart contract that still exists today, still operates? Tornado Cash still works because it was a true decentralized smart contract. It is getting used every single day, most likely. And I should look up to see how much volume is going through it. But it is getting used all the time by average people. And a lot of the transactions are tiny micro transactions. Couple $100 here and there, $500, $1,000. You know, many of the transactions aren't even over $10,000. It's just average people making deposits and withdrawals, wanting to protect their anonymity without having to use some sort of privacy coin, wanting to keep their Ethereum, for example. So, neither here nor there. That's been my rant right now on Tornado Cash. And I want you to understand the reason I talk about this is to I want to be objective about this. I want to be fair about this. And I want people to understand what is exactly going on out here. Because unfortunately, crypto, even though a lot of people are excited about crypto, they don't yet understand what the tech is, why it exists, and what this crypto revolution is all about. And I want to make certain. I started this channel to bring awareness to people, and I want to continue to be bringing awareness to people. Yes, we talk about making money. Yes, we talk about things going up. Yes, we talk about earning passive income in cryptocurrency. We talk about all those things. But the reason all that is happening at its core is because this is a true digital crypto revolution that will continue to transform the society that we live in today. And ultimately, it will be able to allow individual users to take back their own economic freedom. And if you agree with me, do me a favor and smash that like button. Thank you so much for watching. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.